So the other day I was perusing around Netflix and I found a show called Stranger Things. Now, Stranger Things is a show directed by the Duffer Brothers, and I have to be honest, this is one of the greatest summer TV shows you will ever binge. Now, granted, this is only 8 episodes, so you'll get about 8 hours worth of a story. However, this story is so confined that it even has its own branches outstretched. It's kind of weird to say, just picture a box. That's the season. But through the box, you have all these different wires that are popping out of it. Those are future plot threads that are just wanting to get new seasons. This this television series is so great that I'd even recommend it. Go watch it now on Netflix. And I'm going to get into details about why I love Stranger Things. Now, Stranger Things follows a town of people who has been noticing a lot of really creepy shit. For one thing, a character named Will gets kidnapped, and the entire town is on the hunt to try to find the boy. However, at the same time, a secret governmental lab has been trying to track down its own experiment named 11, or L for short. And it runs across this group of boys who play D&D at night, and there's a bunch more other different subplots that I probably will forget to mention. Now, the key thing about this entire series is that it takes place in the 80s. So there's going to be a lot of 80s nostalgia about it. They have E.T., they had Star Wars. Like, this entire series, or this entire season, I remember we were binge watching it with my mom, and she was noticing a lot of different details that reminded her of E.T. So, if you want a good E.T. type story, this would be it. It's not necessarily a remake or a reboot. It's just taking that kind of concept of like, oh, some supernatural being came into my life and we got to protect it from the government sort of ideal, and expands upon it to make it such an interesting story that reminded me somewhat of a more adulterated Gravity Falls. It really shows. Let's start with acting. Alright, the acting, there's a lot of kid actors in this series. And it could have gone bad in any direction. But it didn't. The kid actors are honestly really good. And I really did feel for a lot of them, including, there was this one kid who was missing his front teeth, and he was just funny. Towards the end of the season, he had me laughing on the floor just how funny he was. And it's just so great, again, seeing child actors becoming good again. I want to see more child actors become good, because we could totally use some of those right now. Since we're losing more and more talent, we need good talent to replace it. And I think these kids are definitely going to be stars, especially the kid who plays 11. If there's anything that brought me more intrigue, is the character of 11. What was her backstory? What happened to her? What kind of experiments did they do on her? How does she feel about all this happening? What happened when she went into the Upside Down? All this different stuff. I was genuinely intrigued. It had me asking questions every episode, and that's the strength of this series, is that every episode I kept asking questions, and I kept answering them in the next episode or in a couple episodes down the road, and it was really good to see some of these plot threads finally come to an end and some branching out to be answered later, and it got me gripped by the second episode of the series, and it was so good. The writing is top notch. There is some cons to this series though. Some of the CGI work doesn't work. And that's I mean, if that's the only thing that's really bad about the series, then I guess it's okay. It's an okay series, really. It's really great, though. Besides the CGI that was kind of meh, it really did do a lot of intriguing things. And the one thing I could say about this is that this makes a better Dungeons & Dragons movie than the actual Dungeons and Dragons movie. I mean, yeah, it references a lot of D&D and whatnot, and you could probably tell that the writers really understood what D&D was, maybe because they played it as kids, but but it really does play up this notion that maybe, you know, the stuff they play in the Dungeons and Dragons game is going to effectually affect their lives somehow in their hometown. Who knows? And and one of the greatest things about this series is the music. Now, a lot of people don't like synth, but this series reminded me of a lot of different things that remind me from using synth. You know, like Tron. I remember Tron using synth. I remember a lot of different crazy 80s movies using symphonic sounds. And it really brought the show together to make me feel like I was in the 80s. I know I'm going on a little bit too long in this part, so let's just skip ahead to some of the ideas. There's genuinely a lot. There's generally a lot of really good ideas that haven't really been done before. Like when Winona Ryder is trying to communicate with Will from the to the Upside Down. You know, she has to string lights, because how this works is, this is going to be slight spoilers, but how this works is like, on the opposite side, you know, it's like being a ghost in the real world, but in the Upside Down, you're like in a parallel dimension. And they explain this from the Acrobat and the Flea, which is really, it's a pretty interesting concept that I'm not going to go into just to save time on this review. I'd suggest watching the episode, The Acrobat and the Flea, and they'll explain it pretty well. And if not, look up some theories on it on YouTube. There's definitely some YouTubers out there that have done it. But to really wrap up everything, I know I'm kind of a mixed bag because I'm really excited for a second season. This show is great. It has great writing, great effects, great costumes, great set design, great story, great intrigue, great suspense, and a great mystery that left off on a cliffhanger in the last episode that I'm really excited to see them get expanded upon in a second season. So I'm giving Stranger Things a 9 out of 10. It is a great series, and you should definitely go watch it on Netflix. Just go. Grab your popcorn, grab your buddies, watch it this weekend. It is a quick binge, and I think you'll enjoy it. I really promise you that. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Nick Jennings, and next time at the movies, I'll see you there. Peace.